You probably know the word definitely. I will definitely come. That is definitely true. This is definitely useful. Definitely means yes, I am sure, no doubt. Now, look at today's word, define. These two words are connected by one single idea, clarity. When you define a word, you make the meaning clear. When you say definitely, your answer is clear. So remember this easy connection. Define means clear meaning. Definitely means a clear yes. Let's say the word again slowly. Define. The stress is at the end. Fine. Think of the simple meaning as to give the clear, precise meaning of something. For example, can you define this word? This just means, can you say what this word means clearly? You can also say, the teacher defined the term clearly. How do you define success? Or, we need to define the problem first. Think of an undefined word as something blurry. You can see it, but the edges are not sharp. When you define it, you draw a clear box around the meaning. You show exactly what it means, what it does not mean, and where the idea starts and ends. That is the core feeling of define, making the boundaries of a meaning completely clear. This word is very useful for English learners. Why? Because learning English is not just about memorizing thousands of words. You also need to understand those words clearly.
This word is very useful for English learners. Why? Because learning English is not just about memorizing thousands of words. You also need to understand those words clearly. For example, you may know two words, explain and define, but can you define the difference? That is where this word becomes a superpower. You will hear it in lessons, dictionaries, school, work meetings, and serious conversations. It isn't slang and it isn't too casual. It just sounds clear, educated, and precise. In everyday, casual conversation, people often ask, what does it mean? But in learning, teaching, or professional work, people will say, can you define it? Now, let's compare define and explain. They are close, but they are not the same. Define means give the exact meaning. Explain means make something clear with more information, reasons, steps, or examples. For example, if I say, define essential, this means tell me the definition of the word. It means very important. But if I say, explain why sleep is essential, this means give me reasons, details, and examples of what happens to the body when we sleep. So the simple contrast to remember is define equals give the meaning. Explain equals give the details. Let's look at 3 situations where you will hear this word naturally. First, in English learning, you are in class and ask your teacher, can you define this word for me? This is perfect when you need a precise dictionary meaning. Second, at work, a team has a problem, but nobody agrees on what the actual issue is. Someone steps up and says, first, we need to define the problem. This means before we try to fix it, we need to understand exactly what it is. And third, in personal life, someone asks you, how do you define success? Well, one person may define success as money, another person may define success as freedom, and another may define it as family and health. Here, define means say what this big idea means to you. When you use this word, there are a few natural patterns you can follow.
The easiest way is just define plus a noun. Define this word. Define the problem. Define your goals. If you want to give a specific meaning to an idea, you can say define something as something. Some people define success as freedom. The dictionary defines essential as very important.
In the passive voice, you will often see be defined as. For example, confused is defined as not clear in your mind. And finally, a very common phrase you will hear at work or school is to clearly define something, like, we need to clearly define the rules before we start. Now, let's look at the rest of this word family so you can expand your vocabulary. Define is the verb. Can you define this word? Definition is the noun. What is the definition of this word? Definite is the adjective, which means clear, certain, or fixed. We need a definite answer. And definitely is the adverb, which means certainly or without a doubt. I will definitely come. Remember our connection from the beginning. Define gives a clear meaning. Definitely gives a clear yes. Let's look at 2 common mistakes to avoid. First mistake, mixing up define and explain. Don't say, can you define why this happened? Do say, can you explain why this happened? Just remember, use define for meaning and explain for reasons. Second mistake, incorrect word order. Don't say, can you define me this word? Do say, can you define this word for me? You see, both can you define this word for me and what does this word mean are perfectly natural. Just remember to use define when you want a precise, clear description. Let's finish with our memory line. Define puts a clear box around the meaning. One more time. Define puts a clear box around the meaning. Now it's your turn to practice. Try to complete this sentence in your head. I can define blank as blank. For example, I can define essential as very important and necessary. Now choose just one English word you know well and try to define it in your own simple words. See you in the next episode.